Have you ever paused in the rush and felt a quiet tug beneath your confidence, an unsettling doubt that maybe, just maybe, you're not as free as you believe? Every morning, you wake convinced you choose your path. Yet the first thing you reach for is a device programmed to shape your moods, guide your wants, and chart your must-do list before you've even cracked an egg. You follow career blueprints handed down as gospel. You recite the mantras of success, happiness, and self-care, never questioning who wrote them, why they sell, or whom they serve. You buy freedom tokens, titles, likes, followers, thinking these badges will liberate you, yet each one tightens the invisible noose of expectation. You march into boardrooms and lecture halls. You scroll through curated feeds as if your desires were original. You smile at social gatherings, nod at opinions not your own, and swallow the question, is this really me? The applause feels soothing until the lights dim and you're left staring at your reflection, wondering whose face you are actually seeing. Nietzsche called this the worst kind of bondage, the will of the herd. We slip into line so seamlessly our chains feel like custom-fit gloves. We obey discomfort in the name of belonging. We sacrifice our truest desires to play a role in a story someone else directs. This is no alarmist fantasy. It's a philosophical surgery, one Nietzsche perfected with scalpel precision. He tore away comforting illusions to expose that many of our freedoms are granted with no thought at all, drilled into us by culture, tradition, and the seductive architecture of choice. If you've ever felt that ache beneath your accomplishments, this is why. So it's time to question the script. True freedom begins the moment you realize you may have been auditioning for a play you never wrote. You feel it every time you wake before dawn, heart racing as your mind lists tomorrow's obligations. Appointments you didn't choose, conversations you'll have because you should, tasks you'll complete to earn approval. You've learned to silence your own yearnings beneath a mountain of responsibilities that aren't yours. You scroll through polished success stories on your feed and feel a familiar pang of envy mixed with relief. At least you're normal. You've nodded along in meetings, laughed at jokes you didn't find funny, and agreed to plans you despised, all because deviating felt riskier than losing yourself. Your wardrobe, your hobbies, even your worldview have been curated by invisible committees, parents, peers, influencers, institutions. Each decision feels small until you realize weeks have passed without a single choice that came from your own heart. At night, you lie awake replaying conversations, wondering if you said the right things. You apologize for taking up space, for voicing a preference, for disappointing invisible judges. You've mastered the art of smiling through discomfort, of swallowing your doubts in exchange for fleeting acceptance. And underneath every forced smile, there's a whisper you've long ignored. Is this really who I am? That question flickers in the silence between your thoughts, too terrifying to pursue for fear you might uncover a void where your true self should be. This is your reality, a life lived on autopilot, masquerading as freedom. And every time you acquiesce, the gap between the person you are and the person you pretend to be widens, until one day you'll look in the mirror and wonder if you recognize the face staring back. They told you freedom is found in comfort, safe jobs, stable routines, predictable outcomes. You accepted it. You believed that security and conformity would liberate you from chaos. But this premise is a carefully constructed lie. Security demands allegiance to clocks, supervisors, social norms. Routine requires you to surrender spontaneity, creativity, and the chance to err. Predictability chains you to expectations, yours and everyone else's, so tightly that deviation feels like disaster. From childhood, you learn to toe the line. Good grades, polite behavior, respectable career. Each blueprint came stamped, freedom inside, yet every milestone required you to trade a piece of yourself for acceptance. A diploma for silent compliance, a promotion for longer hours and muted dissatisfaction, a status symbol for a quieter rebellion in your heart. Even your convictions weren't born in solitude. They were whispered to you in classrooms, echo chambers, marketing campaigns. You recite them as if they sprang from your soul, but they echo with the voices of those who profit from your obedience. Nietzsche called this the herd instinct. The herd promises safety in numbers, yet drags you away from the precipice of self-discovery. It sacrifices individuality at the altar of collective comfort, and paradoxically, You pay with your freedom to keep your place in the herd. Every convention you embrace, every comfort you pursue, polishes your cage until the bars are invisible. You pace within, convinced you're exploring open fields. You decorate the interior with hobbies, pleasures, and routines that soothe the anxiety of your confinement. Yet outside lies untamed possibility, uncomfortable, unpredictable, alive. This is the trap. Believing freedom is avoidance of suffering. True autonomy demands risking discomfort, facing uncertainty, and challenging the very structures that promise to protect you. It requires stepping off well-worn paths and feeling the ground shift under your feet. It demands you walk alone at times against the tide. Your comforts have become your captors, and to break free, you must first see the chains forged in comfort's name. Then you must muster the courage to shatter them and embrace the uncertainty that signifies genuine freedom. You keep climbing the ladder, promotion after promotion, yet feel the gnawing emptiness of a hollow achievement. You chase the next milestone, believing it will vindicate your existence, but each victory only deepens the void. You dutifully maintain relationships, attend gatherings, and offer small talk while your real desires wither in silence. You've sacrificed intimacy for convenience, authenticity for acceptance, and your own dreams for someone else's blueprint. The result is a life that looks enviable from the outside. A corner office, a neat home, a curated social circle. But inside, you're unraveling. Your passions lie buried beneath obligations you never chose. Creative sparks sputter out as you prioritize stability. Connections feel transactional. You're either giving or taking approval, never fully present. As the years pass, you grow adept at self-deception. You convince yourself that you're content. You repeat the familiar mantras, "I'm lucky. This is just how life is. One day I'll..." But those words ring hollow. The price of compliance is your soul's slow erosion. Sleep becomes restless. You wake with a hollow ache, haunted by the question you still avoid: what if I've been living someone else's life? You watch peers break free, quitting jobs, traveling, creating, and feel both envy and terror. Meanwhile, your margin for error shrinks. Every deviation carries disproportionate risk because you've built a fragile facade of control. The herd tolerates you until it doesn't. A single misstep, a rejected proposal, a sincere opinion can shatter your constructed identity, leaving you exposed and ashamed. This is the collapse of unexamined freedom. A life bound by invisible contracts you didn't read, enforced by fear of loss, status, security, belonging. The more you cling to the illusion, the more brittle you become. And when the structure finally cracks, there's no foundation to catch you. If you remain asleep, your entire existence will slip through your fingers, one contract, one compromise at a time, until you awaken to find there's nothing left that's truly yours. True freedom demands you break before you can rebuild. The question is, will you wait for the collapse or will you choose it on your own terms? Here comes the pivot. Nietzsche's razor-sharp truth cuts through the haze. He didn't merely diagnose our captivity, he prescribed a path beyond it. Nietzsche saw that every moral code, every social norm, every should was forged by the herd to maintain its comfort. He called it slave morality, a system built on resentment, conformity, and the denial of life's tensions. It glorifies pity, obedience, and self-sacrifice, branding anyone who challenges the status quo as evil or immoral. But Nietzsche didn't stop there. He introduced the concept of the Übermensch, the overman who transcends herd values by creating his own. This figure doesn't reject community out of spite. He rejects it out of sovereignty. He acknowledges that pain, risk, and uncertainty are the crucibles of growth. He doesn't wait for permission to live fully. He seizes life's raw material and forges meaning from it. And then there's the will to power, not domination over others, but the drive to assert your own creative force to shape your destiny rather than be shaped. Nietzsche argued that every choice, every value, every moment of self-assertion is an act of power. To embrace this is to reject the passive comfort of safety and embrace the dynamic struggle of becoming yourself. This is the turning point. Your captivity isn't just external, it lives in your unchallenged beliefs. The herd doesn't just surround you, it lives in your mind. Nietzsche's pivot demands you excavate those internal scripts and replace them with values you author. No longer is freedom a word sold by convenience. Now it becomes the arduous art of self-creation. You stop auditioning for roles written by others. You begin writing your own. This is Nietzsche's dark warning and his greatest gift. You cannot remain who you are if you want to become who you might be. You don't need a roadmap handed down by tradition or a guru's blessing to reclaim your autonomy. You need a practice of radical self-interrogation and deliberate action. First, spot the internalized shoulds. Whenever you catch yourself thinking, I should do X, pause and ask, who says? Track these scripts, career paths, relationship roles, lifestyle mandates, until you can name them clearly. Naming dissolves their power. Second, choose one value to test. Don't theorize about freedom. Live it. Decide on a small act that contradicts the herd. Speak an unpopular truth in a meeting, take an unplanned solo trip, spend an entire afternoon without screens. Observe the discomfort, stay with it. That friction is the anvil on which you forge your true will. Third, reframe failure as feedback. Every mistake under self-authored values is data, proof you're operating outside conditioned safety. Celebrate it. Let each stumble refine your emerging philosophy rather than reinforce old fears. Fourth, build your circle of fellow creators. Seek others who wrestle with their own autonomy. Share your experiments, your doubts, and your small victories. The herd thrives on passive conformity. A community of active seekers becomes a support network for ongoing rebirth. Finally, document your evolution. Keep a journal of decisions made from your own conviction, not obligation. Over time, you'll trace the arc of your transformation, the raw material for your self-authored narrative. These steps aren't painless shortcuts. They're a disciplined apprenticeship in Nietzschean self-creation. By spot-checking every should, daring small rebellions, and reframing fear as fuel, you reclaim freedom as an active, ongoing conquest, not a passive state. True autonomy is forged in daily acts of courage, seldom noticed by the herd, and absolutely earth-shaking for the one who dares to live it. You are no longer the understudy in someone else's play. You are the playwright, the director, and the lead role all at once. You've seen the chains disguised as comfort. You've felt the hollow victory of milestones handed down by the herd. You've tasted the thrill of defining your own values and the sting of failure when you lived them. Now it's time to claim a new identity. From this moment on, you are not the person who reacts to life. You are the person who authors it. You are not a foot soldier for mass approval. You are a sovereign architect of your own world. You don't live to fit in. You exist to stand out. You don't defer to shoulds, you answer only to your own voice. Every time you feel the old scripts tugging at you, repeat this mantra. I write my own story. Let it echo through boardrooms, over dinner tables, into the mirror at dawn. Wear it like armor when discomfort presses in. Let it remind you that your will to power is the spark that ignites your true freedom. This is your declaration of independence from conformity, from unexamined beliefs, from the silent drama of fear. You are the Übermensch of your own life, a creator of values, a builder of meaning, a force that shapes reality rather than being shaped by it. Go ahead. Say no to the roles you never auditioned for. Say yes to the wild, unwritten chapters still waiting for your pen. Stand firm when the herd demands obedience. Stand proud when the world offers applause for your sovereignty. This is more than a call to action. It's a call to identity. You are no longer a passive participant in existence. You are its fearless author. And every moment you choose deliberately is a sentence in the epic only you can write. You will encounter resistance. The herd doesn't surrender its recruits without a fight. Your friends may call you difficult, your family selfish, your colleagues reckless. This is not a malfunction of your journey. It's proof you're off the beaten path. Every barb aimed at your sovereignty is a test of your commitment. When someone says, "Why can't you just go along with the rest of us?" Hear this. They fear your freedom because it exposes their own chains. When doors close, know you're creating new ones that open only for those willing to evolve alongside you. Each no you deliver is a beam in the structure of your autonomy. Every yes you give from choice is a window to new horizons. Guard your inner sovereignty by refining your circle. Some relationships will fracture under the weight of your transformation, and that's necessary. You cannot nurture self-authorship in a garden overrun with weeds of expectation. But you'll also find new companions, individuals drawn to your emerging light, comrades in the art of radical becoming. Embrace solitude as a crucible of growth. Silence the clamor of external voices and listen to the rhythms of your own heartbeat. There you'll find the coordinates for your next move. Journal your encounters with fear and triumph. Revisit those entries when doubt creeps in. Let your lived history become a map of resilience. Celebrate small victories. The first time you declined a socially mandated favor, the moment you chose passion over paycheck, the day you spoke an unpopular truth and felt no shame. These milestones are signposts on your uncharted road. Remember, freedom is not a destination, it's a perpetual act of creation. The world will try to redefine you at every turn. Defy it by continually refining your values. Reclaim your narrative every morning when you wake. Reforge your will every time you feel the old chains brushing against your resolve. This is the ongoing odyssey of the Übermensch. Not a singular achievement, but a lifelong practice of self-overcoming. The herd slumbers in its comfort. You walk the path of discomfort, not out of masochism, but out of allegiance to your own becoming. Every moment you choose consciously, you widen the gap between the person you were and the person you're daring to become. Keep walking. By now you've glimpsed the vast expanse beyond the herd's pasture. You've felt the sting of unfamiliar freedom. You've tasted both the exhilaration and the fear that come with self-authorship. Yet this path is not for the faint of heart. It's an enterprise that demands relentless resolve. Understand this, every act of sovereignty deepens your responsibility. You no longer hide behind collective norms. Your choices bear real weight. When you decide to live by self-crafted values, you become a living example of what's possible. And that makes you a target for the herd's defensive reflex. Criticism, ostracism, and doubt will surge around you like storm waves. Let these challenges refine you rather than break you. Each objection to your autonomy is an invitation to clarify your why. Ask yourself, why does this value matter enough to endure their pushback? Revisit your journal entries, recall the friction you welcomed previously, and remember that discomfort signals growth. At the same time, cultivate patience. The metamorphosis from conditioned compliance to genuine freedom unfolds in subtle increments. You might wake one day and realize you've spent weeks making decisions without consulting a single should. Or you might notice that your relationships have shifted. Some dissolving, others blossoming under the light of authenticity. Mark these inflection points. Celebrate them quietly, without fanfare. They're proof you're building a life that no longer needs the herd's applause to be meaningful. Your satisfaction now springs from the integrity of choice itself. Still, don't mistake steadiness for stagnation. True self-creation involves continual re-evaluation. Periodically interrogate your values. Are they still serving your highest vision? Has your will to power evolved into a new arena, a creative project, a community cause, a philosophical inquiry? Let your values be living documents, as dynamic as you are. As you approach the final crossroads, where freedom's allure meets life's inevitable unpredictability, remember that autonomy isn't the absence of constraint, but the mastery of it. Every boundary you set, every no you own is a structure within which you can truly flourish. Now we'll confront the ultimate question Nietzsche forces upon us. Will you remain a spectator bound by invisible chains, or will you embrace the daunting and liberating venture of becoming your own Übermensch? By now you know what awaits beyond comfort's border, a life authored by your own will, not the herd's. You've peeled back the layers of conditioned obedience, tested your values in the furnace of uncertainty, and learned that each no you claim is a rung on the ladder to true autonomy. But here lies the final crucible, the affirmation of your own existence. Nietzsche believed that to truly live you must learn to say yes to your fate, amor fati, embracing every challenge, every loss, every uncomfortable moment as an essential thread in your self-wrought tapestry. It's not enough to reject the herd. You must affirm your path with the same vigor the herd uses to enforce conformity. Ask yourself now, when chaos erupts, when life shatters your carefully constructed boundaries, will you retreat to the safety of old scripts or stand your ground and declare, "This is my story"? Will you rewrite the final act rather than memorizing an ending someone else penned? This is the ultimate test of freedom, not the absence of constraint, but the ability to dance within it, joyfully, fiercely, creatively. As the curtain falls, you are both actor and playwright, audience and critic, creator and creation. So choose. Remain shackled by invisible chains disguised as comfort, or step into the arena of your own making, where every choice is both challenge and celebration, every moment a chance to sculpt your becoming. Nietzsche's dark warning wasn't a prophecy of despair, but an invitation to radical life. The question now is yours alone. Will you live as a spectator of your own existence, or will you rise as the Übermensch of your soul? Now it's your turn. Define your next bold no, and share it below. Subscribe to join a tribe of self-creators where every choice is a victory. Hit like if you're ready to write your own story, and comment the one chapter you'll rewrite today. This is your canvas. Pick up the pen, and let's build our freedom together.